By the spring of 1971, the borders of India were overwhelmed. A brutal military crackdown in East Pakistan drove over 9 million refugees into Indian territory, creating an economic and humanitarian crisis that threatened to destabilize the entire region. This map highlights Pakistan's massive logistical vulnerability. The nation was split into two halves, West and East Pakistan, separated by over 1,000 miles of hostile Indian territory. To supply troops in the east, the Pakistani military relied exclusively on a massive, winding sea route. India couldn't attack this supply line directly without declaring war. Instead, they launched Operation X. Indian forces quietly brought in local resistance fighters, the Mukti Bahini, and trained them in guerrilla warfare. These commandos were trained to swim under Pakistani supply ships in the dead of night and attach magnetic limpet mines to the hulls. When the operation went live, Pakistani cargo vessels suddenly began exploding from the bottom up. Over 100 vessels were damaged or destroyed. The invisible strikes paralyzed the maritime supply route, isolating the Pakistani military in the east and forcing leadership to plan immediate retaliation. Pakistan set its sights on India's most valuable naval asset. This is the INS Vikrant, a massive aircraft carrier that carried enough firepower to dictate the terms of any naval engagement. Operating as a floating city and airbase, the Vikrant could house over 20 fighter jets. If positioned correctly, it could single-handedly lock down the entire Bay of Bengal. Pakistan deployed the PNS Ghazi, their only long-range submarine, ordered to travel 2,200 nautical miles underwater to hunt down the Vikrant. Sinking the carrier would reopen the sea route. Locating and stopping the submarine became an immediate matter of national survival for India. Indian intelligence soon picked up a pattern of short, encrypted radio bursts. When they intercepted a request for a highly specific grade of lubricating oil used only in submarines, they knew the Ghazi was approaching. Vice Admiral N. Krishnan made a swift defensive move. He ordered the INS Vikrant to be quietly relocated to Port X-Ray, a highly classified, isolated anchorage in the Andaman Islands. Hiding the carrier was only half the solution. To keep it safe, the Indian Navy needed to convince Pakistan that the Vikrant was actually stationed at the heavily defended port of Visakhapatnam. They started by broadcasting intentionally weak radio signals. These messages, easily intercepted by design, explicitly discussed the Vikrant's supposed arrival at Visakhapatnam. Then, the Navy took the bluff a step further. They placed massive, uncharacteristic orders for fresh vegetables and meat at the Visakhapatnam docks, making the naval base look like a wholesale produce market. The massive supply orders were perfectly calibrated to catch the attention of local Pakistani informants. The spies reported back that a carrier-sized crew was being fed, and Pakistan confidently ordered the Ghazi straight into the waiting trap. To close the trap, the Indian Navy needed bait. They selected the INS Rajput, an aging destroyer scheduled to be decommissioned. Captain Indra Singh was given a nearly suicidal assignment. He was to sail the Rajput out of the port while deliberately blasting heavy radio signals, mimicking the massive footprint of the Vikrant, fully expecting the Ghazi to fire upon them. Meanwhile, the Ghazi had arrived right outside the Visakhapatnam harbor. Waiting for its target, the submarine's crew began carefully laying a field of underwater mines across the port's narrow entrance. When the periscope spotted a ship approaching rapidly, the Ghazi attempted an emergency dive to avoid a collision. The sudden maneuver caused the 2,400-ton submarine to lose control, slamming it violently into the sea floor and damaging its own internal systems. Sailing directly overhead, the Rajput sonar team detected the frantic underwater vibrations of the trapped submarine. Without hesitation, Captain Singh ordered the release of 2 devastating depth charges. The ensuing explosion destroyed the submarine instantly. Pakistan's greatest strategic naval asset was neutralized entirely underwater before a single conventional surface battle could even take place. Completely unaware that their prized submarine was already sitting at the bottom of the ocean, Pakistan officially initiated the war on December 3rd with a series of preemptive airstrikes. This map shows the immediate consequence of the Ghazi's destruction. With the underwater threat eliminated, the INS Vikrant emerged safely from hiding and established an impenetrable naval blockade across the entire Bay of Bengal. Cut off from reinforcements, weapons, and supplies, the Pakistani military in the east collapsed. Over 93,000 soldiers were forced to surrender. marking the largest military capitulation since the Second World War. This catastrophic loss of their supply lines and manpower resulted in the liberation of East Pakistan, leading to the birth of the independent nation of Bangladesh. The outcome of the war turned on these specific tactical maneuvers. By combining falsified radio static with thousands of fake vegetable orders, the Indian Navy neutralized a strategic threat and cleared the way for a historic surrender without a shot fired between the primary vessels.